And thank you so much, Mr. Ebenezer, for the brief introduction. I hope we
Okay,
are
we
all
want to
doing
introduce our
fine.
guest speaker tonight. Happiness, are you there?
Yes,
Happiness,
please.
are
Can
you
you
there?
confirm you can hear me?
Okay.
Can you confirm you can hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Happiness, yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Can I turn it down?
Right, she's trying to unmute. Okay.
okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you, Happiness.
okay. So we can just proceed. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining in on this 45 minutes my HR series. Once again, my name is Happiness Odi, and I'm going to be moderating this section tonight. Okay, so we'll be having our speaker joining shortly, and I'll just quickly read through her profile. So Mrs. Abiola Akanni is a seasoned strategic human resource practitioner who holds a bachelor's degree in sociology and anthropology from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. She's an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, ACIPM, and as well as holding a professional certification from Senior Professional in Human Resource International, that's SPHRi. She is well experienced across diverse spheres of HR management and business leadership across banking. She was once the HR business partner at Zenith Bank. Then telecommunication, she has worked with Nine Mobile. She was once the manager resourcing and partnering. And ICT, with a track record of aligning business objectives with people plans across different business units. Our competencies and expertise cut across HR strategy, strategic business advisory, talent sourcing, policy and process development, stakeholder management, change management, competency-based recruitment, talent management, total reward management, employee engagement and recognition, succession planning, performance management, labor relations, and HR audits. She's currently the head people operations at Webb Fontaine Group, Nigeria. Make welcome for our host tonight, Mrs. Abiola Akanni. You're most welcome, ma. It's a great pleasure having you on this platform. So please, to the audience, kindly give her a welcome note on the chat box. Just drop in your welcome note on the chat box. You will see them. And also, while the section is ongoing, if you have any questions, you can also drop it on the chat box. It will be attended to when she's done with our session. Thank you so much once again. I hope you just sit back and relax while you learn. You're welcome, ma. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Happiness. That was an elaborate introduction. After a while, I was like, okay, so is she really talking about me? All of those things. Well, I guess she was introducing me. Right. I think we can get right to it. And then I would appreciate if the questions are put in the chat box so that I can respond to them after the presentation. So you don't have to wait till I'm done before you put your questions in. You can drop them as they, come to you. So let me share my screen and then we'll get right to it. Oopsie. Sure. I'm sorry, I can't seem to find it, but I will find it. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay. Just give me a minute. So we can actually even introduce ourselves whilst I'm trying to get my presentation, whilst I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay, so, all right, ma'am. So let's get to meet ourselves. You could just drop your name and what you currently do. Let's kind of meet ourselves on the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. Why this is not happening? Okay.
Okay, you could send it to us while we help you to
Okay.
you could
So I would need an email address. Okay, so finally I find it.
All right.
Oh, it's invalid.
all right. So while we are waiting for our guest speaker to project the slide, I was kind of asking a question before. I think two questions. That number one, how many of us like the kind of job we are doing at the moment? Right? Then two, how many of us will still want to be doing that job in the next 20, 30 years? For instance, if you're a marketing executive, do you want to grow in that trajectory, but you just want to still remain in that marketing field from junior level to the senior level? Or at a point in time, you may still want to transit. Averagely, there was a statistic that was carried out at US sometimes late last year that averagely, an employee will change their job almost 7 times, transit from their current job 7 times. So if you are transited twice, you are still behind, right? If you are transited just 3 times, you are still in line. I remember when I wanted to transit from sales and marketing to HR, I had to take a low paying job. In fact, the reason why I even joined the company was I want to learn the fundamental of HR, but then the available option for me to take to enter the HR space, I had to enter through business development. So that was, I entered, was trying to market the business, but my mind and my plan of going there was because I wanted to transit from, you know, and non-experienced person to become an HR person, and I needed to do that, learning from somebody who has a serious work, HR knowledge and skill for him to training. And after spending a year there, I was able to successfully, move to HR role, right? And I'm sure some of us will have such kind of experience on this platform, right? So I can assure you that this session tonight is going to be a practical one. Practical one. Of course, some of the people who registered were asking us that some they want to just move to HR, to HR. Why some say they want to move from their current job to become CEO. All right, please, when you are said, let me know, ma.
I've shared it with you because I'm
Oh,
still having that issue. I don't know
oh,
why it's not opening, but I shared it with you
okay,
so that we can start.
okay.
Okay, so why Mr. Ebenezer shows up the slide for our guest speaker. So I just want to welcome from our chat box Thank you, Agnes Adoga. It's nice to meet you. Thank you, Oluwatoyin. Also, you're welcome on board. Nwazuluoke. Chinyaka. Okay, I think I met you earlier today. You're welcome. Also, good to meet you, Favor Okono. Good to meet you, Dele Lawal. You're welcome. You're also welcome, Toluwa Lashe.
Toluwalashe.
You, yeah, Toluwa Lashe. You're also welcome, Adepeju, Adebisi. And also Happiness, my namesake, Happiness Chidema Iwoha. You're welcome. Samuel Bamidele, you're also welcome. Good luck, goodness, you're welcome. Samuel Olorundare, you're welcome. It's great having all of you here. Okay, I think the slides are up. So,
Yeah, so eventually worked. He just wanted me to share with Mr. Ebenezer. So we'll just get right to it. The presentation should be for 15 minutes. I'm sorry I've wasted about 10 trying to open the slide. So we'll be talking about career transitioning, doing it the right way. So what do we mean by career transitioning? This is the process of transitioning into a new career. We can call it career transition or career change. Now, there is no time limit for changing jobs. It doesn't have to be immediately you start a job. You don't have to, it could be 5 years. There's no time limit. You can start that. You can change your job as much time as possible. So, for instance, you might start out being a customer service person and then you transition into being a relationship manager. And then at some point, you realize you would rather be an HR practitioner. And then afterwards, you want to be a project manager or a business analyst. You don't have, there's no time limit for changing jobs, and there is no limit to how many times you can change your jobs. Okay, the transition period may have started years before you consciously decide to make any change. So sometimes we're not aware that we're ready for a new career. It's unconscious in the beginning. It might start with you realizing that, okay, you spend a lot of that time doing XYZ. Let me give you an instance. I was working in I was working. I started off in Etisalat as a performance management specialist, but I've always had interests in employee welfare, employee relations. So unconsciously, I was available whenever they needed volunteers to do anything in the employee relations department. Eventually, I moved from performance management and became manager, expatriate and employee relations. So in the beginning, it was just me liking functions and liking people to feel like part of the whole, but it was me unconsciously, you know, making a career change. Career transition can start with daydreaming about something you like to do, and it can prepare you for a job change. So I really like doing XYZ. I like children, I like events. And then, you see yourself doing things along that line unconsciously. Eventually, you would realize that, you would gravitate towards that. It could also begin with you meeting people in professions that catches your interest. Most times, this happens with maybe before you start your career. When you have, sometimes we're able to, whilst we're in school, we go visit certain organizations, and then we like the way a certain individual or certain groups of people do their job or the way they look. And, your interest might develop from that. It might even be from reading books or watching films, documentaries about the things you like. So why should you make a career change? You'll probably make it because it could start with you being bored or frustrated with your career. And I think Mr. Ebenezer had started off, talking about this. You're bored, you're frustrated with your current employment, and that might make you start thinking, do I really want to do this job, or is it something else? For me, I worked in a bank, and then I realized I was in the office all the time. So it started with me saying, something has to give. It can't always be like this. You might also, another reason might be you want more opportunities for advancement. Some of us believe we're better than where we are currently. You might want a raise in your pay and benefits. You might also be looking for a more fulfilling job. You're seeking work-life balance to reduce your stress level. And then some of us desire to work remotely. So with COVID, quite unlike before COVID, most of us, it didn't seem possible to work remotely or have a job, a good job, which will allow you work remotely. But with COVID, we've realized that it's actually possible and you're, able to deliver on your tasks, even though you're working remotely. So it could be a reason for some people to say, I'm not sure I want to go to the office Monday to Friday and, 9 to 5, commuting and all of that. So that might make some of us start thinking, I think it's time for me to have a career change. Whatever your reasons are, if the benefit outweighs the risk, career transitioning can improve your happiness and quality of life. So what do you need to do to commit to a new career? You need to plan, you need to create a timeline and follow the steps below. Now, the steps below are not exhaustive. It's just few steps, to prepare yourself before committing to a new career. You should be able to identify your transferable skills, and also define the skills you would require. What skills do you have in your current job that are transferable to the new position you're looking at? You also need to get to know the industry which you want to transition into, especially if you're looking at a different industry. So you could be transitioning into a new industry, or you could be transitioning into a new job, but same industry. Whatever it is, it's that you're getting to know the industries, or you're getting to know what stands you out on that particular job, on that particular job function, if you choose to remain in the same industry. And then you need to consider the life changes that might happen, with this, your decision to transition your career. What do I mean by life changes? So you, for instance, for someone that was not a nurse, for instance, and then you want to, this is me now off my head going overboard. So you might, this new function might require you to work shifts, which might require you working at night, and that might affect your family dynamics. So you need to think about what's your decision, how it will affect your lifestyle. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I have tampered with my system again and I can't seem to find you all. Just give me a minute.
All right, ma'am. So please, if you have questions, you can start dropping it in on the chat box so it will be attended to immediately after the session. Thank you.
Okay, so and now it's frozen. Okay, yes. So the career transitioning process, what do you need to do to be able to transition successfully? You might need to return to school, or, school means developing yourself. Now it could be academic, it could be certification, something that would stand you out, especially because you're moving on to a new field. For instance, an HR personnel trying to transition to become a business analyst, you might have to return to school so that you ensure that you're positioning yourself properly for your career transition. Network, you need to meet people, in that line, or people that have done what you're planning to do, or people, network with the right people, meet people, that would help you transition, to ensure that your transitioning is seamless. You would also need to update your resume to include, that's, of course, this is after you developed yourself. Now, some of the materials I read said quit your job before you return to school. No, you might not be able to quit your job, especially because most of us on this call are Nigerians. So we might not be able to afford to quit our job. So that is why I took that out. But once you acquire this new skills, it will be good for you to update your resume to include acquired education or skills. Then you could volunteer if the positions are not coming forth yet. And then you start applying for these relevant positions. Why did I put volunteering here? So the only disadvantage, if you call that a disadvantage of volunteering, is you don't get paid. However, you cannot trade the experience for anything else. It can't go into your resume, and it would eventually stand you out for that position when it does come up. After transitioning your career, I would recommend that you continue with your education. So once you say, okay, I've landed that job, I don't need to develop myself anymore. That is not a good place to be, because if we stop, we should stop learning when we actually die. You learn every day. So when you say, oh, yes, I know everything, nobody does. So you're encouraged to continue educating yourself and be patient. What do I mean by being patient? You might not be able, so for instance, you've risen to the top of your career as a lawyer. If you're a lawyer and you're transitioning into nursing, for instance, and you think that you get into the hospital, you have 80 years work experience, you're transitioning and you're a nurse, the minimum level you should be able to start from should be you being a matron. No, it doesn't work like that. You do not have your 80 years work experience. This is me exaggerating. Is not in nursing, is in another field. So be patient. You might have to rise through the ranks, but eventually, you will get there. And always remember why you decided to do this in the first instance. Okay, so any questions?
Okay, to the audience, you have the floor. Do you have any questions? So that our guest speaker will perform justice to it, as she has performed justice to this topic. Let's have your questions, please. Okay, while questions are coming
I
up,
can see Happiness, a minute, please. Chidima Happiness, your namesake is actually raising up her hand. Will you mind to give her the floor?
Okay, so Chidima, you can proceed with your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening to our facilitator. I'm grateful for this opportunity, because really this is the point where I am in my life right now, trying to transition. I have been on this journey for like 3 years, and then I went further to go back to school, like get a certification. And I've been able to get my ACIPM just recently. And now my question is this: I have like over 10 years experience in customer support, and administration. And I'm ready to even start from, even if it's HR assistant, just to get to learn the nitty-gritty of HR. I don't mind. But how do I get into it? Because when people look at your age and then look at when recruiters look at your age and then look at your experience, they're like, oh, are you sure you can do this? Are you sure? I don't know how to be able to transition and get to get what I want to. I don't know what's the lowest point of HR you can start from right now. I know, because I'm quite very, very much interested in transitioning. So please, how do I go about this?
Okay, so
Thank
in one
you.
of my slides, I mentioned that, you know, I mentioned volunteering. If you recall, I'm not sure what site in particular. So I said you could volunteer, okay, whilst you're, I can't remember how I put that, but volunteering would help you. You mentioned that you want to transition into HR, and you've done your ACIPM already. I would recommend in your case that you start with CIPM, okay? They have chapters you could be part of. I can't remember what they call it now, but yeah, they always have these chapters. They have different chapters at different locations. So you can, you know, join, and that's also networking. You become, apart from volunteering, networking, you're part of those groups, those CIPM chapters, and then you will volunteer, speak, support somebody, attend conferences, attend, you know, those functions. You would meet HR practitioners, and that would help you, you know. But if you just keep applying without, you need to network. And then in church, for instance, I'd assume you attend a church or a mosque. You can volunteer. You know, the HR, they always need support one way or the other. All of this, volunteer, you're not getting paid. It will be on your CV for whatever profession you intend to transition to. They always have a body, and I'm sure they come together. You will go, you can join them for, maybe they have monthly meetings, quarterly meetings. You will meet, you know, practitioners in that field. So
Okay, thank you
happiness,
so
I
much.
don't, yeah, okay.
Thank you. I'll take steps towards taking this your advice. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Chidima. Thanks so much, Ma, for the response. I think we have another question here. This is from Favor O'Connor. Okay, she says she's transitioning to HR and she's currently taking courses on Allison. She's saying, is it possible to apply for a voluntary role without a certificate?
Yes, I think that is very possible. It's a voluntary, you're volunteering, they're not paying you. They would have a problem with you not delivering, you know, and if they do, what's that will happen is they'll say, okay, thank you very much for your services after you've rendered it for a bit. And if that happens and they tell you, oh, well, we would not be requiring your services anymore, I would expect that you ask why, you know, and the feedback would help you. If the reason why they're asking you to step back is because you're not doing a good job, and then that shouldn't discourage you. If at first you don't succeed, you try again, especially because you have feedback. So if that one didn't work, you volunteer somewhere else. But yes, to your question, you can volunteer without a certificate.
Okay, Favor, I hope that is answered, right? Okay, do we still have any other question before we round this off? Okay, thanks, Favor. Okay, I guess there are no other questions. Okay, so we have another one here from Bola James. I guess it's a he. He's saying transiting to an HRM with 20 years experience in account admin, etc. Where do I start in my career? Wow.
I don't know. That was me being sarcastic, of course. So I would recommend for someone that has so much experience to work on transitioning within the organization he or she currently works in. It's easier, you know. Indicate your interests. let them know where you work that you're interested in transitioning into the HR department. And it will be nice if you have something to show that this is not just an interest, you've gone on to develop yourself in that field. Why do I recommend you move within the organization you're currently in? They know you, they know your work ethics already. It's easier to sell yourself in that organization. So you start off, I would recommend you start off in an organization you currently work in. You work there for a bit, and then you will see it'll be easier to move on to other organizations. Okay, so Bola James says, yes, he's currently in, was deployed. Yeah, so yes, you've done it already. So you just need to work it for 6 months, 1 year. And then if you want to move out of your organization, then you can. I see that, sorry, Happiness, I've taken over your show. I can see Fatima saying that there are different chapters: Personnel Practitioner Consultative Association. Yes, I guess for the HR person. So you could, apart from ACIPM, you could check up what Fatima has put in the chat box. So yes, you can volunteer there, or you be a part of them. So that way you're able to network. It stands you out. And also for Bola, ensure that you're part of the ACIPM conference. There's a yearly conference in Abuja most times. Don't do the virtual. Try to attend physically. You will meet HR practitioners. It would help you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. I'll just quickly have to share this about myself. I must say that I personally transitioned from a paramedical discipline, health information manager, into an HR generalist. And I can tell you that this is on a platform of volunteering. So I met an HR, someone who's vast in experience in HR, and I said to just volunteer in helping out in different projects, and that is how I got to learn. So thank you so much for this, ma'am.
Okay. So,
I believe we've all...
Yeah, so let me just mention this. Ngozi Bukola mentioned that this year, 2022 ACIPM conference will be held in Port Harcourt, but yeah, Port Harcourt, Abuja, wherever. Once you go to their website or social media page, you will know exactly where it will be held. You will know about the chapters. Just go check them up. It would help. Thank you, Ngozi Bukola.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are indeed grateful. Thank you for the great insight into career transition and doing it the right way. Thank you so much, ma'am. We hope to see you some other time performing justice to other, topics on HR. So at this point in time, okay, we still have questions coming in. Okay, so probably after now, you could reach out to the guest speaker, maybe via LinkedIn, or I don't know, probably via LinkedIn, because we're running out of time now. So I'll be handing over to Mr. Ebenezer for the closing remark.
Well, I must sincerely appreciate my boss, and thank you so much for sharing this experience with us. For me, I have some take home, especially where you mentioned career transitioning process, that we should return to school, basically. And returning to school required investment into knowledge, you need to spend money. Transitioning is not easy. You just want to start something entirely new, right? And you even did mention that we should be patient with the process, right? We should not experience the level of acceptance and honor and enjoyment we have on the current job, on the place we are transitioning immediately. some things take time. Of course, you want to give birth now, you can't expect to have a good baby within 3 months. It will take 9 good months before the delivery. So also another thing I also discover that you say we should network. Sometimes to network requires money. You said something that when you want to attend CIPM program, of course, virtual and attendance may be whether 70,000 naira or 50,000 naira. But if you want to be there physically, you spend roughly around 200,000, probably accommodation, transportation, and the rest. But of course, when you go physically, you'll be able to network very well. Anytime I attend NHR or any occasion, I go there with intention to come with a lot of numbers, contact, relationship, and everything. Of course, when I know the speaker, I'll pitch my 10 towards them and everything. So thank you so much, and thank you so much. I really, really appreciate. What I'm taking home is return to school. Return to school. Then volunteer. Volunteer. Don't just fold your hand. You are in the WhatsApp group. You are dropping message. You are just reading and smile and joke. You are not writing anything. Nobody knows you on that platform. You are not bringing any value to that platform. No, you need to contribute. You need to share your own idea. Let them know that somebody is there that is adding value to them, and when the opportunity comes, you not appear to be a stranger, right? So thank you so much. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, ma. God bless you. Ma, your final remark, ma.
Say thank you for having me. Yeah, that's all. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that joined in, because if you guys didn't join, then it would have just been Ebenezer and I, and you know, I don't know if we would have had this 45 minutes talk. So thank you for joining the call, and thank you for having me on this session.
All right, ma. Ma, do you give me the permission to share the slide with the
Yes,
participants?
please go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
Thank you, ma.